stepping in to help us with the agenda is Julie, giving a training speech on humour. What is the title? And the agenda doesn't have the title. Tell me again the title, Julie.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. 3 years ago. Julie Curtis, 3 years ago. Thank you.
I begin pathway very early. Online, remote access, and exactly 3 years ago, I was very proud of myself because I finished my first path, which was visionary communication. I found a picture of a path that you see behind me, which is an alley near my building, and I set up to speak my last speech in the past, which is speaking about the spot, reflecting about my past, all full of myself. And I got a wonderful lesson of modesty. I was giving that speech to a Philippine group of Zaldi who was conducting. He is still an online club which didn't charter from 3 years, always meeting 2 times once, but didn't gather enough members to charter. But he's doing a wonderful job. 3 years ago, I had a great modesty lesson, which put my accomplishment in his place. We had in Philippines, just before a few days, a great typhoon, and a lot of water came. And it came so much water in a province that people had water until almost here. Some of them got on tables, on chairs, high, afraid, because they didn't know how high the water will come. But that day, it was a Friday, for me noon, for them evening, a woman came who told us the electricity after 3 days finally came up. So I could assist to online meeting, and I can show you and tell you what happened. I share a screen of one of the pictures he had shown us. Here. Here is me with the path behind me and the street and the boy, and how big the water still was on that day after 3 days. And you see it? She went out. She had even a picture. Someone took her picture with her and her smartphone in the water. She was in water like till here and taking pictures around her. She had also pictures of her place of work when she showed us traces the water now went down, but they had shown the trace how far the water went. He told us a stunning story. And a stunning story of resilience also, and of courage, and of determination to come online and to tell her story. 3 years ago, I was so impressed that I felt that her story was more important than the finishing of my own path. Now, I finished a path also today, and this, this speech will be one of the speeches, one of my in engaging humor. Engaging humor level 1 is the same as everything, but I try to put some humor in it. In level 2, it is added, know your sense of humor, which is also in other paths in level 3. You can find it. And then you have connect to your audience. I have to tell you that all levels, in fact, in engaging humor, unlike the title, is more about audience and how to tell personal story to your audience. In level 3, you have in level 3, you have engage your audience with humor. And then the same elective speech which you have in every other path. In level 4, that was my big problem. Because it is the power of humor in impromptu speech, and the impromptu speech was extremely difficult for me. What is that? They give you 12 subjects, which are all very sad. Something happens, or someone dies, or a big storm breaks, and you have to tell it in 2 minutes, but to add some humor in it. Add humor in a sad event to make people relax. And the Toastmaster of the meeting gives you between 12, suddenly one of the 12 subjects, and you have to tell for 2 minutes. And after you finish, he gives you the second subject. There are 2 subjects he can give, should give you. And then you have to answer to the second subject without knowing which of the 12 impromptu answers you will be asked. I went very fast until level 4. And when I arrived at that place, I stopped. How I'll do it? What I will do? I was really afraid. Even after all my experience, giving a funny thing, a funny speech in a sad situation or a bad situation, or someone who dies, or whatever it was really not easy for me. So I waited. waited months. And finally a day I told myself, Julie, you have to do it. And yeah, I did it not so bad finally. It didn't come so funny as I wanted, but I answered as well as I could with some personal stories, almost personal. So I finished level 4. Level 5 was easier. And I gave a humorous keynote 2 weeks ago. And what remained now it was what is called path completion. Path completion has the reflect your path. And that speech today is my reflection on my path. But I can tell about humorous path. It is a wonderful path. But it is not so much about humor, but teaching us how we can go through any speech with personal stories. And if we tell personal stories, we can find always something for the audience, and depending of the audience, change it, change the beginning, change the end, change along the way, depending how they react. And then we can go further. And somewhere we add humor. If they laugh, well, wonderful. If they don't laugh, we make as if it was not even wanted to be humorous. And then we don't mind and we can go further. We learn a lot about audiences in the humorous path. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Julie. We're all Tony'd out. If anyone who's not Tony has any comments, you're most welcome to. Otherwise,
Recommendation from someone?
there's no commendations. We couldn't think of. You've had recommendations. You mean you've had commendations? How many commendations do you want?
I'll give a recommendation.
Okay.
What can I do better?
Yeah, a recommendation, which is something that often gets said to me, which I think is useful for you, Julie, is where could Julie have put some dialogue into the speech? Because the speech was a really good pace and very good stories and so on. Could Julie have put some dialogue in when she was speaking to the person from Philippines, from what I understand, or maybe even just from one of her speeches, just add a little bit of dialogue just to change the rhythm and the pace a little bit. But apart from that, it was just amazing, as always.
Thank you, Jonathan. Indeed.